With any piece of countering, the timing is everything, and it certainly wasn't lost on one part of the audience. Political editor Duncan Garner spent the day with John Key and is live from Parliament. Duncan.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I certainly think Helen Clark's rescue package today was a deliberate attempt just to get in ahead of John Key. As Scott Campbell said there, his announcement will come tomorrow. But it's also an attempt by Helen Clark to put some distance between herself and this developing HV story, the story where Labour Party President Mike Williams went to Australia to dig up the dirt on John Key and his past dealings in the 80s with a foreign affairs scam. It's a foreign exchange scam. But it is my opinion that it just has not worked for Labour today. These young guys were as quick to do backflips for John Key as Labour was to back down and backtrack over its failed hit on Key's past.
I think it's the Labour Party that should be embarrassed that in the middle of an election campaign they're dispatching their president to Australia to go on a dirt-digging, smearing exercise.
I would not pretend for one moment that I had my mind around any of it.
Labour's President Mike Williams was dispatched to Melbourne last week to go through the files and investigate John Key's involvement in a 1988 foreign exchange scam. The scam saw $66 million paid by Elders, a firm Key worked for, to Equity Corp. Its boss, Alan Hawkins, was jailed for fraud as a result.
Well, I would have thought somebody that's been appointed to so many government boards would be too busy undertaking that work to be acting as super sleuth in Australia.
3 News investigations can confirm Williams sought the help of the Australian Labour Party's top lawyer to get a judge's order to access and photocopy 24 kilograms of papers and bring them home. Williams says taxpayers didn't foot the bill for his trip.
I think there's a long way to go on this story.
Okay, so there's more to be revealed, you believe?
Well, I think Mr Key has some serious questions to answer as to that statement he signed all those years ago.
He's paid for it at his own expense, his own pocket. He thinks there are questions to be answered, and obviously Key media think there are questions to be answered and have also sent journalists to look at them.
The SFO has already cleared Key of any involvement in the transactions. Its former boss, Charles Sturt, told 3 News today there was not a scintilla of evidence indicating John Key was involved in any wrongdoing. He was completely innocent. That any aspersions are now being cast on John Key is simply mischievous. Key's biggest mistake was publicly stating that he left Elders in 1987 when in fact it was 1988.
You didn't get your dates right, did you, on when you left the business? You were sort of 9 months out, weren't you?
And that was corrected.
Key is, of course, now trying to sheet the blame home to Helen Clark.
Of course the Prime Minister was involved. She's in daily contact with her President.
And the left were ganging up on Key from all sides. Even Jeanette Fitzsimons bailed him up in a shopping mall to talk climate change today. But the climate of this campaign has now changed. Labour's own goal has created no heat, and indeed may backfire. So voters may indeed see that this strategy to dig up dirt on John Key reeks of desperation, because Labour simply hasn't been able to land any blows here. Look, Helen Clark is desperate in trying awfully hard to distance herself, but it is my understanding that she certainly knew that Mike Williams was heading to Australia on this mission. So look, in many ways this could be a turning point of the campaign. Certainly Labour strategists and MPs are sort of standing nervously by now just to see if there is any backlash in the polls as a result of this failed dirt digging exercise.
Duncan, thank you.